Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Woodzman Adventures. I'm here with some good news that it is official. Honda has definitely released the Honda CRF300L to the United States. And as you can see by this image here, this is what it's going to look like. There is some bad news, in my opinion, that it will not have the LED lights. It does have the halogen light, just like the CRF250L had. It also has the incandescent turn signals, front and rear. But it does have an LED tail light, of course. But there is a vast improvements on the bike, even though it doesn't have the LED lights. Pretty much everything has changed on the bike, from the frame to the all the body works, to the fuel tank, to the injection, the intake, the exhaust. Everything is pretty much different. So there is some good news. It does have 15% more power. It does have higher ground clearance. We'll go through a couple other pictures here and talk about a couple of the features that I know of. Okay, on the front view here, as you can see for sure that we're definitely going to have the halogen headlight and the incandescent turn signals. So not much really changed up front. It actually looks like a 250L, except for if you'll notice the horns on this side now on the left side of the bike, and so is the antifreeze reservoir, with the radiator being on the right side of the bike. So that has definitely changed. You can tell also too from this image here that this kickstand is different. It looks like a bigger foot, so that's an improvement right there. From the rear view of the bike, it still pretty much also looks the same. You can see a difference in a little bit of the body works. The toolbox number plate on the left side is definitely a difference. You can see that bigger foot down here on the kickstand. The tires are the same IRCs that it had before, and also the same IRCs that like the CRF450L comes with. It does have a new exhaust, and you can tell it's kind of a hex end cap here on it. Not really an improvement as far as that, but it does have a new redefined exhaust. So not much more from the rear that you can tell. I do know that this big old license plate bracket here, it actually can be removed a lot easier to kind of tidy up the tail and put a license plate bracket up higher. So it's going to be a lot easier to do that on the 300L. At this angle, we can't see much. There is a version, this one here is not it, but there is an ABS version now. Of course, the Rally will come in only ABS, and the CRF300L will come in ABS or standard. In my opinion, I'm just going to go with the standard and not the ABS, because I'm actually used to using my brakes as normal and I don't feel the need for ABS. One thing you can see on this side is on the passenger foot peg that it does have a guard here, so the passenger's foot will not get up against the exhaust, so that's a good idea. You can see the different lines in the plastics too. It's totally redesigned plastic all the way around. The radiator guards are a lot different. And in this image, you can see that the radiator is on the right side of the bike. And you have this short hose going down from the radiator down to the water pump, which on the older model, the radiator was on the left side of the bike and it had to come all the way across the engine and then down. So everything is pretty much different. This frame is a totally redesigned frame. It's lighter and stronger. And now one thing about the frame is it does not have a removable subframe. This subframe here, like on the CRF250L, would actually unbolt and you could take it off. So if you was to wheelie over backwards or something and you bend the subframe, you could actually remove it and replace it. On this bike, if you are to break the subframe, you would have to replace the entire frame, or do what I would do and I would just weld back wherever it breaks and repair it. I wouldn't order the whole frame. As you can see here too, the frame looks like it curves in here, so they wanted to make it tighter and more narrow for the driver position, and they did that by moving the frame in here. This exhaust guard right here, heat shield, is a lot different than the other one. This brake here is a lot different. It does not have a reservoir on it now, an external reservoir. It is actually built into the brake master cylinder. So you can see the halogen light here too. the big ugly one instead of the LED like I was hoping for. Okay, on this side of the rear view, you can actually see this brake master cylinder better. We'll do a close-up here in a minute. Otherwise, the bike still looks pretty much the same as the other side. Not much change. This here is a different frame protection. They got one that kind of protects the engine a little bit, but it actually doesn't protect the frame as much as the CRF250L does, so I don't know why they opted to do that, but they did. Okay, so in this image here, you can see this protector again here. They have, it goes over the swing arm bolt and then over part of the engine right here, but it doesn't actually protect the frame as good from scuffs. Other than that, it should do an adequate job. One thing I have noticed on this bike, you can see it better on the other image, that it does not have a skid plate. And I don't know if when they ship them actually, whether it have a skid plate or not, but this does not have a skid plate on it. And then up here on the gas tank, you can see that it has a redesigned gas cap. This is a new gas tank actually. It's not the same shape. To show an LED lights, this is not the US version, but I would just use this picture to represent the gas cap and how much different it is. It's black now instead of chrome, so it does look better on the bike. So on this image of the bike, we can see that this kickstand foot down here is, of course, like I said, it's bigger, and it also has a reinforcement on it because it's a longer shoe on the bottom, so it has reinforcement. Also, this toolbox looks like a lot larger toolbox, and it's not covered by the number plate. It's just actually the toolbox out in the open. I don't know that it looks quite as good, but it should work better. Okay, on the rear of it, we can see that the ProLink suspension, this actually is a little bit longer suspension. So the rear shock is a little bit longer and a little more travel, and so is the front. It's actually not much at all. It's only like 10 millimeter. And then here you can actually see this rear master cylinder, how there is no remote reservoir. The actual reservoir is built into it right here, and you can see this cap right here. You take these two bolts out is how you put the brake fluid in. So that's actually a good feature. This is a nice upgrade. And on this front image here, you can actually see real good that it does not have a skid plate. But if you notice right here, there's two tabs where there can be a skid plate bolted. So I don't know why in the pictures they didn't opt to put the skid plate, or if it is actually not coming with a skid plate. You can see the lower part here where they put the black on the bottom of the fork, so that looks good. Okay, on this image here, one thing there is to notice, you may not be able to even see it on this picture, but these bolts right here for the sprocket are smaller bolts. They've done it to save weight. The sprocket is lighter. They've changed it, and the bolts are smaller. So the sprocket, this is a 1447. It's got 14 on the front and 40 on the rear, just like the CRF250L. But with these bolts being a different size, this sprocket may not work off a CRF250L onto the 300. Even though it's the same bolt pattern, I don't know yet if it'll work until we get one actually and try it out. So if we notice on the gauges, the instrument panel here, they have changed it quite a bit. It still has the clock here, has your set and select buttons here. This is a lot larger screen than it had. The speedometer digit is a lot bigger, and it's a redesigned tach. Also, we have the gear indicator, shows neutral right here. This is really, really a nice feature. This thing also has a light here, a shift light. You can actually adjust this, so if you want to be able to shift, especially for new people, if you wanted to shift at 6,000 or 7,000 RPM, you can adjust that shift point, and then when you get to 6,000 RPM, this light will light up, telling you it's time to shift gears. So that's a kind of a nice feature. Hopefully the turn signal indicators will actually be better and more noticeable, because I'm about to run out of blinker fluid on mine. So that's pretty much it on the Honda CRF300L. Just letting you all know that it is coming, and the actual date that it will be here, it has been announced now on the Honda's website, but the actual date that it's supposed to be in the stores is March. And some people say that their dealer said they would get it before then. That's great if they do, but otherwise it might be up till March. I noticed it also has this black valve cover here. But so the bike is actually a totally redesigned bike. It's not going to be nothing like the 250L, even though it looks a lot like it. because it's a lot lighter. It's better gearing. They changed the gearing so you could have a higher 6th gear and lower in the other gears. That will help. This swing arm it looks the same, but it is different. It's lighter weight. The frame's lighter weight. It does have a slipper clutch in here, so especially when downshifting, you'll notice it that when you let off the clutch and downshift, it's not so apt to kill the motor because it actually releases the clutch plates and lets it slip. That's why it's called a slipper clutch. So hopefully this will come soon. As soon as I get any more info, I'll keep you all updated on it. But thank you all for watching Woodzman Adventures. Please subscribe, click the thumbs up. Also check out my Facebook group. It's Honda CRF300L and 250L and Rally. But I'll post a link to it below. You can join the group if you're a 250L or CRF300L or Rally owner. Join up and have conversations with us. But I'll catch y'all on the next one. Right on.